Can I kindly request everyone to say sadhu, please?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Katang bhavito cha kundaliya indriya samvara. Katang bahuli khato tini sucharitani paripurenti ti. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends in the Dhamma, today is another Tuesday when we usually meet for our weekly mindfulness session, 8th October 2024. I have picked up this particular verse from a new sutta. Last time we finished Penapindupama Sutta. Now we are starting on a new sutta. The name of the sutta is Kundaliya Sutta. Kundaliya is a person, is a wanderer who goes to places and just live in them, depending on the accommodation and the food from those places. So this particular verse is from a discussion he had with the Blessed One. And the meaning of that is, the Blessed One says, and Kundaliya, how is sense restraint developed and cultivated so as to fulfill the three kinds of good conduct. So that is the direct translation of the particular verse. This sutta, Kundaliya Sutta, is in the connected discourses in a chapter called Great Chapter, in a section called Bojjhanga Samyutta. Bojjhanga means the factors for enlightenment. And in that, another subclassification is there, mountain section. In the mountain Bojjhanga section, subsection mountain section, you find this particular sutta, Kundaliya Sutta. Buddha was staying in the deer park at Anjana Wood near Migadaya in Saketa city. So these are places in India. Saketa is the main big city. And in that big city, there is another suburb, famous suburb called Migadaya. And in that, near that, there is a forest which we call Anjana Vanaya, Anjana Wood. And in that forest, there is a separate deer park where deers are. And that is where the Blessed One was staying. When he was there, this wanderer Kundaliya went up to him and exchanged greetings, worshipped him, and then talked about the general things like weather and how he's getting on and how Buddha is getting on and things like that. And then Kundaliya introduces himself. When he's introducing himself, he says, I like to hang around the monasteries and visit the assemblies in those monasteries. And he says, when I do that, I usually do it after my food. And it's the habit, I'm going from monastery to monastery and park to park. And when I do that, I see some ascetics and some Brahmins and some preachers speaking for the sake of winning the debates and finding fault. And this is all what they do. They want to win the debate or say the other party is wrong. This is all what I have been hearing from my wandering life. And then he is quietly opening up the subject with the Blessed One. Are you also in the same group? He wants to ask. Then he's asking it in a nicer way. He's asking what benefit does Master Gautama live for? He knows the name of the Blessed One, Master Gautama. He's asking why are you bearing these robes? Why are you bearing the begging bowl? Why have you renunciated the lay life? Then the conversation starts. And then the Blessed One says, the benefit the realized one lives for, Kundaliya, is the fruit of knowledge and freedom. He says, only thing I am expecting is Vijja Vimukti Palani Sansu. Vijja Vimukti means freedom. Vijja means knowledge, or avidya means ignorance. Vidya means the knowledge, no ignorance. And not just knowledge and the freedom, fruit of those things. If you have the knowledge and if you have the freedom, you should be able to enjoy them. So he says, my purpose of life is to enjoy what I have acquired. And then Kundaliya maybe his hair may have started to rise up. And then he immediately gets to the next question. It's like a TV interview with a very, very clever, very professional journalist. He asked the perfect question after that. Then the question he's asking it is, what things must be developed and cultivated in order to fulfill the knowledge and freedom? And if we hear knowledge and freedom, then we will think, okay, bye-bye, I'll see you later. But do you need anything else to go ahead? And if you need anything, let me know. And he didn't do any of those things. He straight away asked, to achieve the knowledge and the freedom, what have I got to do? And what should be developed and cultivated? And then Buddha answers the 7 awakening factors. You will have to develop and cultivate awakening factors. And then with that answer, Kundaliya did not stop. Kundaliya straight away went to the next question. What things must be developed and cultivated in order to fulfill the 7 awakening factors? To achieve 7 awakening factors, what have I got to do? What am I missing? And what should I plant? And what should I look after? He's asking. So it's like he has been waiting for this, waiting for Buddha. He has been like waiting to ask this question. He has been waiting for a right man to come. So from the answers that the Blessed One is giving, he's getting more and more energized and asking straight away the path. And it looks like that these are fabricated things for someone who doesn't have the right faith. Because if you go to the market, if you go to the shop, and if you meet somebody, and if you tell them, I'm living for the fruit of knowledge and freedom, they will say, okay, I have got to buy some fruit and go home. You go and carry on with your duties. But here it is not that. Exactly the perfect question is asked. So one may presume that these are fabricated. These are not fabricated. So this is how Dhamma meets. When we meet somebody and with few words, you get if you have the right vibration, if you have the right accumulated merits, you straight away will get absorbed, will get involved with that vibration, with that energy. So it's exactly the same thing that is happening here. He's straight away asking, what have I got to do to achieve, to fulfill the 7 awakening factors? Then the Blessed One says, the 4 foundations of mindfulness practice. And then he goes to the next question straight away. Now, which you, from what he has done so far, you know what he's going to ask. He's asking, what things must be developed and cultivated in order to fulfill the 4 kinds of mindfulness, 4 foundations of mindfulness. Then the Blessed One says, 3 kinds of good conduct. Tini sucharitani bhaveti bahuli karoti was the Blessed One's answer. Then again, he did not waste any time. Asked straight away the next question. What things must be developed and cultivated in order to fulfill the 3 kinds of good conduct? And then the Blessed One straight away says, sense restraint. Should have sense restraint. Indriya sangvaro, bhavito bahuli kato, tini sucharitani paripuryanti. This is what he says. You will have to use sense restraint and do it over and over again, and then that will complete the 3 kinds of good conduct. And then the Blessed One, after giving that answer, he did not allow Kundaliya to talk. And then he's asking what has to be done, what things to be done and cultivated and all that. The Blessed One now started saying, asking what doesn't make, he did not say that, I am saying it. He realized that asking what things to be developed and cultivated has no use unless you know how. Then the Blessed One started saying how it should be done. So this is the wisdom of the Blessed One. By talking to someone, he exactly is able to understand up to what extent he should be answered for his questions. And then when Buddha will have to take over the charge, and then he started explaining how now these things to be done. So that is his great wisdom. That is his great compassion. So he's exercising that now. And this is also called preaching miracle. The Blessed One or the awakened beings, arahants, are able to, if you have mastered them, have various types of miracles. And they call Iddhi Patiharya, Adesana Patiharya. Adesana Patiharya means reading others' minds. Anusasana Patiharya means preaching miracle. So this is a preaching miracle by the Blessed One. He knows when to answer and when not to answer, when to explain and when not to explain, what similes to be taken, what similes not to be taken. He is perfect in that. So therefore, in this conversation also, he shuts Kundaliya. And because he is now in the right vibration, he is in the right line. All his faculties are aligned to come to the practice. So after saying that he will have to have sense restraint to achieve the 3 kinds of good conduct, he started saying how it has to be done. So that is the particular verse that I took today. He says, how is sense restraint developed and cultivated so as to fulfill the 3 kinds of conduct? So there are when we take sense restraint, when we develop sense restraint, and when you cultivate it, it will naturally, gradually lead to the three kinds of good conduct. So these two are linked. And usually we don't have sense restraint. We live, when we live in the normal world, especially when we were not practicing, we were wild. We were not different to wild beasts. We were doing all sorts of things that should not be done. And that is not sense restraint. And once the sense restraint is introduced, when you understand that some sort of sense restraint is required, then you gradually develop that something that you did not have. That is what is called develop. And just development won't do. After that, you will have to grow it. You will have to multiply it exponentially. And then that development and cultivation of that will fulfill the three kinds of good conduct. The three kinds of good conducts are physical conduct, verbal conduct, and mental conduct. So you will have these three good conduct only if you have restrained your senses. So he's saying how this should be done, how this can be done. And the particular discourse says, this is how it will be done. Says, when you see an agreeable sight with your own eye, you will generate some liking towards it. By having liking towards it, because it is agreeable, you will have a strong desire to it. You will have strong joy out of it. You will have strong lust towards it. And when you have sense restraint, you see an agreeable sight, and you have your inclination towards it, but you will not develop strong desire. You will not develop strong joy. You will not develop lust towards it. So this is how you restrain your faculty. So here we are talking about seeing an agreeable sight. So it may be hearing an agreeable sound. It may be tasting an agreeable taste, or having agreeable aroma, having pleasant contact, maybe having pleasant, peaceful mental thinking. So all these things, pleasant things, any agreeable thing that might pop up in your physical mental system from the faculties, eye, ear, nose, throat, or rather tongue, body, and the mind. If you have a liking, if you have some inclination towards them, and although you have an inclination and liking, you don't generate desire, you don't generate strong joy, you don't generate lust, then you have sense restraint. And it is not only when you see an agreeable sight. What about if you see a disagreeable sight? What about if you hear a disagreeable sound? What about if you get a taste that you don't like? What about if you get a bad smell? What about if you get some unpleasant touch, unpleasant contact? What about if your mind is giving some unpleasant things, unpleasant thoughts, unpleasant images? Those are disagreeable ones. So when you have disagreeable ones, you will not have a liking. Instead, you will have a disliking. So when you have a disliking, you get depressed. Usually, you get panic. Usually, you don't want that, and you get dejected, or ill will arise. So these are the natural thing happens. But if you have restraint in your faculties, if your sense restraint is there, then irrespective of whether it is disagreeable or agreeable, you should have that control. You should have that monitoring system. You should be able to manage things without skidding out of the road. So therefore, the Blessed One says, in having sense restraint, when you have agreeable things, okay, you don't generate desire, you don't generate joy, you don't generate lust. But when you have disagreeable things also, you should not get depressed, should not get panic, should not get dejected, should not feel ill will. Then if you manage that, if you have a monitoring system over disagreeable occurrences as well, then you have sense restraint. Sense restraint does not mean you always have what you like. Sense restraint means you are as less as possible affected. And that is called sense restraint. So when this happens, the Blessed One says, their mind and body are steady internally. So when you are not affected by liking and disliking for the agreeable and disagreeable things that are happening, you are steady. You are not affected. You stay stable. And internally, body and steady internally, well settled and well freed. So internally you are settled and you are freed from the happenings around you. So this is what the Blessed One says. And Blessed One says this is how sense restraint will be developed and will be cultivated. So it is easier for the Buddha to tell this to Kundaliya, because Kundaliya is in that caliber. He is having the necessary qualifications. He is a suitable person to ask this question and to receive this answer, because he's a wanderer. He is already freed. He is not in the household. He is not affected by any daily routines, any daily targets, any daily achievements. He goes to a place. If there is some food left, he will take it, eat it, fill his tummy, and then go and listen to these jokers who are giving talks in the parks and monasteries. And then whenever he finds a place, he just go and sleep. So he has given up a lot of things. To give up a lot of things, you should have a lot of sense restraint. But it is not just what Buddha is expecting, but to a greater extent, he is already in the path. He is a renunciate, and he is someone who has come out of the lay life. But all of us are not Kundaliyas, and some of us are still in the lay life. And then can't we do it is a question. I'm personally have been in that category for close to 25 years. And although I was not a renunciate of the lay life, can't I enjoy, can't I have this fruit of sense restrainment? It's a question that I myself ask, and is a question that you yourself ask from you. And I know all of you are taking this very seriously. And whenever there is an opportunity, you go to maximum renunciation possible, being a layperson. And when you live your ordinary life, you try as much as possible to have a restraint faculties. So the question is not that. If the faculties, before we come to the practice, our faculties were not restrained. So when the faculties are not restrained, then we won't be able to go to the three kinds of good conduct. So that is called the usual world. We call it the sensual world. In the sensual world, all what we know is to satisfy our ear, satisfy our eye, satisfy our nose, satisfy our taste buds, and satisfy our bodily contacts, and then our mind as much as possible. So if you have a lot of forms to satisfy the eye, then you are a rich person. Then you are a well-to-do person. And similarly, all sorts of sounds, all the types of tastes, all the aromas, having all of them will be the best thing in the sensual world. So they build the biggest house, they build the biggest palace, they buy the biggest boat, they have everything the biggest. And at the end of the day, in order to achieve those things, you don't care what you do. You don't care whether you kill an animal. You don't care whether you kill a person. You don't care whether you kill a family. You don't care whether you kill an entire nation. Whether you kill entire group of people, we don't care. Because if our sensual world, if my sense faculties are fulfilled to the maximum possible, there is no value in others' lives. And that is what is happening in the world today. There is no need for me to explain. You can just turn on your TV and see what people are talking nowadays. Absolutely no sense restraint. And we can't teach these people sense restraint because they are so bogged down in it. They have agreeable things, they have disagreeable things. When they have agreeable things, they create lust as much as possible and they get bogged down in it. And when they have disagreeable things, they get so upset, they get so panicked, they get so depressed, and they generate so much of ill will and then go to the maximum possible to destroy the disagreeable thing. So when we all to some extent, maybe varying degrees, we have been in that world. But for one or the other reason, we have realized how burning, how frictional that world is. And to understand that, there should have a special brain circuit. And Buddha says, intelligent people. Buddha says, Pachaktang Veditabbo. They have special consciousness to understand that. And that comes from your merits. That comes from your faith. That comes from your energy, practice. That comes from your innocence. That comes from your ability to listen to somebody. A lot of people don't want to listen to somebody. They are not humble enough to listen to somebody. But if you have this basic requirements, then you will be listening to somebody who is having a different sort of a life and see what the hell are you doing. And that is exactly what Kundaliya is doing, going from monastery to monastery, park to park, and then listen to these people and try to learn. Although he has renunciated to great extent, although he has controlled his sensual world, but he has not received what he was looking for. And when he met Buddha, Buddha was giving fabulous answers. He was so shocked. Buddha said, I was enjoying the fruit of knowledge and freedom. What a lovely achievement. The entire world is trying to have the knowledge from the universities, from the books, from the experiments. Buddha did all that of the knowledge without any book, without any experiment, not experiment, without any book or without any university. University was his own body. So therefore, for someone who is not having sense restraint, who is in the usual sensual world, breaking precepts is like getting up in the morning. It's such a simple thing. You don't care what happens to the other person. It is not just killing, stealing in any manner is like that. So these days, if you see the internet, and especially if you see the YouTube, you can see how angry the African world is, how angry the Asian world is towards, it's not rather angry, they are so disappointed with the way the Western world is treating them, because they have grabbed all the resources from these places which they had for their own benefit and imposed on those countries what is brought from West. And to achieve them, they will have to now get loans from the Western countries. And then they are asking, you are giving our own money to us, and you say we are underdeveloped. And that is because they don't care how these things happen. There is no morality, absolutely. And on top of that, they preach how the development has to happen in our part of the world. And therefore, when you have no sense restraint, you go to all sorts of juggleries, all sorts of manipulations, and they call it strategic planning. They have coined beautiful words to fool others, and therefore breaking precepts has been justified, has been formalized, has been systemized, and has been taught to people just to fulfill their sense desires. So therefore, this is what is happening when there is no sense restraint. So only way you can have sense restraint is moral shame and moral fear. You should have some value within you to understand, to put yourself in others' shoes. So when you do that, only you will have moral shame and moral fear. If I don't like someone killing me, I should not kill other people. If I don't like someone stealing me, I should not steal other people. If I don't like someone fooling me, I should not fool others. Like that, if you have some shame, some understanding that this should not be done for me and I should not do for the others, that is called moral shame and moral fear. And you will have moral shame and moral fear only when you see something through you. So long as you don't see something through you, you will not have it. So that is why, so long as your attention is with the thing that you see, with the thing that you hear, with the aroma that you get, with the taste that you get, with the contact that you get, you keep on changing pillows, you keep on changing houses, you keep on changing mattresses, you keep on changing spouses as well for a better contact. And when you have the attention outside in that manner, you will never have moral shame and moral fear. But if your attention turns the other way around, instead of outside, if you try to observe your eye, observe your ear, observe your nose, observe your throat, observe your tongue, observe your body, observe your mind, then your attention becomes inward, and then you will start seeing what nonsense you are doing. And that has been very clearly explained by the Blessed One in another sutta, which we call Sati Sampajanya Sutta. In other words, mindfulness sutta or clear comprehension sutta. And in that he says, because when there is no mindfulness and clear comprehension, for one deficient in mindfulness and clear comprehension, the sense of moral shame and moral dread, moral fear, lack their proximate cause. So in order to have the moral shame and moral fear, the proximate cause is the mindfulness and the clear comprehension. So we know what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is the choiceless awareness. So if you have choiceless awareness, and if that choiceless awareness is about you, is about this particular point in time, is about in this particular place, then it is called the perfect mindfulness. And it is not easy for us to bring our attention that way to that particular point where all these three intersects. The three things that has got to intersect are, it should be the time, which is now, it should be the place, which is here, it should be the person, which is you. So there is a point where all these three things are intersecting. And if you can have the attention, if you can have your awareness with this particular point, then you have inward attention. It is not outward. So when you have that inward attention continuously, completely, and as long as possible, then it becomes clear comprehension. So continuation of that choiceless awareness of here, now, I am, is the clear comprehension. So if that is not there, you don't see yourself. When you have mindfulness and clear comprehension, that is the mirror of your character. That is the mirror of your inner world. So you are able to see that through mindfulness and clear comprehension. When you see that, then you will see the bad things you do. You will see the bad words you speak. You will start seeing the bad mind you are having. So seeing that for somebody is giving some shock waves. Am I such a person? Because all this time he has been justifying them because his attention was outside. Now he starts seeing how burning they are within because your attention is inside. So he feels the very same thing is happening to the other person as well. So he will be ashamed of himself. He will be fearful of what he is doing, and he may think that someone might do this to me as well. So if you don't have clear mindfulness and clear comprehension, you lack the proximate cause for the moral shame and moral fear. And that is exactly missing, what is missing in this world today, especially at the top level. If you have this mindfulness and clear comprehension and inward looking mentality, then world would have been such a beautiful place. Unfortunately, it is not so, because most of the people are without sense restraint, and it is very difficult to teach them because they are so engrossed with suffering. And someone who sees that this living is suffering only will look for an alternative, like this wanderer, Kundaliya. We don't have his background before becoming a wanderer. However, we know the background of the sadhu. When he was having so much luxury, he realized, when he saw a sick person, when he saw an old person, when he saw a dead body, he realized that this is going to happen to me as well. And that is what his minister said, his assistant said. Then he wanted to find an answer to it. And his experiment, the way he did it, he has explained that in many different ways to the world, and had this great demise. We have it now even today. Of that, the most important thing is what we are talking now, is the mindfulness and clear comprehension. So to have the mindfulness and clear comprehension, my slogan all the time is to keep the mindfulness to the fore. And one who is having the mindfulness to the fore, you will be able to have mindfulness, you will be able to have clear comprehension. As a result, you will be able to see yourself. And when you see yourself, there is nobody else that is required as an advisor to you, as a helper to you, to correct yourself. There you can become your own counselor. And therefore, that starts with the sense of moral shame and sense of moral fear. And when you have this mindfulness and clear comprehension, that becomes the proximate cause to have the moral shame and moral fear. So this is what is explained in the mindfulness and clear comprehension discourse in the numerical discourses. So in this manner, to take it further from our practice, we can see how this works, how the sense restraint works, how the moral shame and moral fear is at work. Now, say for example, you may be doing your walking practice, mindful walking. When you do your mindful walking, it is a usual thing. Your mind will start wander. Mind may be wandering to the sights. It may be attracting sounds that may be there around. And you may have thoughts. So in this manner, you might get disturbed, if I may use that term. And when the mind goes out like that, if it quickly and easily comes back to the primary object, then what is happening there is, you may have seen an agreeable object or agreeable thing. You are not bogged down in it. You did not generate lust. You did not generate joy out of it. You did not generate great desire on that. If it's a disagreeable thing, you did not generate a lot of ill will. You are not depressed about it. You are not panicking about it. So that is why, although the mind wanders away to a sound or to a sight or to thoughts, if the mind is coming quickly and easily to the primary object, then you have the moral shame and moral fear. Then you have this restraint faculties. It is not that because you have the restraint faculties, your mind is not wandering at all. Your mind will wander. That's the only thing that the mind knows. Walking is such a useless thing. Walking is such a boring thing. and it does not give you any joy, it does not give you any ecstasy, but such a horrible thing. But because your sense faculties are restrained, irrespective of whether you meet with an agreeable or disagreeable outside object, your mind comes quickly and easily back to the primary object. And this happens most of the time. And in that case, one will be able to judge. One will be able to decide, understand himself that I have sort of some sense restraint. And how you have that sense restraint is because you are ashamed of yourself to understand that you can't control your own mind. You are so ashamed, and you are fearful that that you don't have a control over your mind. So that is why, especially rather than the moral fear, what works here is mainly the moral shame. You have, when the mind wanders away, you see your inability, and it's a shame on you. So you see that yourself. And therefore, because you are mindful, you observe that as well. You become aware of that as well. You don't get panic. You have seen an agreeable thing, you have seen a disagreeable thing. Although you saw although you saw an agreeable, disagreeable thing, you are not panicking about the fact that you don't have moral shame and moral fear. Since you are not panicking about it, you are mindful about it, and your mind quickly comes back and easily comes back to the primary object. So this is what the Kundaliya Sutta says. You have agreeable thing, no strong desire, no strong joy, no strong lust. And you have a disagreeable thing, you're not depressed, not panicked, and not dejected or ill will. So when that happens, your mind is always with your walking. And therefore, the sutta says, the mind and the body are steady internally. So although it is moving away, wandering away to other things, internally you are steady. You are not panicking. You are not wavering. You are not shaky. You are not fluctuating madly. Internal stability is there, and well settled and well freed from the things that are happening around. So this is what he says. This is how the sense restrainment is happening. So the Buddha is teaching Kundaliya how it should be done. So this is how it is happening. When this is happening, you have the sense restraint. But the question is it possible for us to always to bring it easily and quickly back to the main object? The mind wanders away. We can't always guarantee that it will come back straight away. Now, when it wanders away, it may create its own dream. It may have its own fantasy world. It will have its own little kingdom, and we'll be thinking about all sorts of nonsense, and over which we don't have control. And this situation is a little bit explained, not little bit, it has been explained in the discourse called Malukyaputta, if I may take another discourse to support this discussion. And in Malukyaputta, it says, not impassioned with forms, seeing a form with mindfulness firm, dispassioned in mind, one knows and doesn't remain fastened there. While one is seeing a form and even experiencing a feeling, it falls away and doesn't accumulate. Thus, one fares mindfully, thus not amazing stress one is said to be in the presence of unbinding. So I know it's a very deep stanza, deep saying. And if I may take it once again, it says, not impassioned with forms, seeing a form with mindfulness firm. So you are doing your mindful walking. So you don't have any passion to the thing that you see. So you are not really grabbed by that sight, or grabbed by that sound, or grabbed by that thought. You seeing a form or a sound, hearing a sound with mindfulness firm. Your mindfulness is there, dispassioned in the mind. Mind is also not really into it. One knows and doesn't remain fastened there. Since he is mindful, he is not very strongly bound by the sight or the sound. And then the next statement is very useful. While one is seeing a form and even experiencing a feeling. So you have seen such a beautiful sight. Say, for example, a male mindful walking. While a male is doing his mindful walking, he sees a beautiful woman. Or when a woman is doing a mindful walking, she sees a handsome boy. And then while one is seeing a form and even experiencing a feeling, and that sight might give you a feeling as well. It falls away and doesn't accumulate. That's very important. So although you experience the feeling from that sight or from that sound, that is not getting accumulated, because as mentioned earlier in the verse, seeing a form with mindfulness firm, because he knows that he is seeing. He knows that he is dispassionate about it. But the mind is having a different agenda, and mind is going with that story. So you let the story happen. You know the feeling is also arising, and you see what is going in the mind, and you see what is going in physically as well. So although these things are happening, it is the nature of the mind, and it doesn't accumulate to you. And it says, thus one fares mindfully, thus not amazing stress one is said to be in the presence of unbinding. That amazing stress will not happen, and you are in the unbinding. You are not bound by the craving. So, in other words, what I want to say is, this is a good example that it may not be easily coming back. In this situation, it has not come back. It has seen the sight, it has had the feeling, and all sorts of things, but you have been mindful. So if you have been mindful, and if it is not getting accumulated, it is again another side, another facet of the sense restraint. Even if your mind doesn't come back quickly, when it wanders, you will be safe if you are mindful. Restraint explained in Kundaliya Sutta will get developed, and it will get cultivated. So this is the sense restraint that the Blessed One is trying to explain us. So how this happens is the application and mastering of this behavior will slowly, steadily will develop the three kinds of good conduct. So when you restrain your senses in this manner, using mindfulness and clear comprehension, you restrain physical activities, you do things without harming others. You restrain your verbal activities. You do things without, you talk, you use your words without hurting others. And to do that, since you are mindful, you are keeping the mind at bay. You are keeping a guard at the door of your mind. There is some security scanning happening before things are happening at the mind level. So therefore, in this manner, gradually you restrain physically, verbally, and mentally. And once it comes to the climax, you have the three kinds of good conduct, which is good physical conduct, good verbal conduct, good mental conduct. So this is what the restraint, sense restraint means. So this is equally applicable, as I touched in the discussion, to the ear, to the nose, to the tongue, to the body, and to the mind. And Blessed One, therefore, has taken this mindfulness to each and every circumstance, to each and every scenario, and so beautifully applied and help the to progress. So we have the habit of looking only for the primary object. Blessed One is very clearly saying whether you have the primary object or not, still you have a way to be to maintain your sense restraint. And so long as you have not forgotten mindfulness, it is a very easy thing. And then when that happens, it is very essential for you to report. So through reporting, you will be able to, only through reporting only, you will be able to explain or tell somebody else what you are doing and how things are changing within you. So this is why people say when they hear this Dhamma, this is something that I have never heard before. It was happening during Buddha's time. It is happening even today. It is happening even today. I'm not just flattering myself. And I met a group of people who have been practicing for 10, 15 years. And with just one retreat, they were so shocked to understand the simplicity of the Buddha's teaching. And they said, no, we never heard these things, and we have been listening to so many monks. We have been going behind so many monks, but it was not so clear. It was not so straightforward as you said. So not that I'm a great person, but the Dhamma is so simple. That simple thing has been complicated by each and everybody who is trying to protect Dhamma. They try to protect Dhamma without practicing Dhamma. So they don't know what they are doing. So and at the same time, they spoil the rest of the world as well, because they have been in robes for a long time. So it's very unfortunate that it is happening. But few of us are actually practicing. So we have a great responsibility to practice to the best of our ability, and then have this skill to yourself, and then the Buddha's teaching will never die. So may you all be able to take that responsibility. May you have the courage to take that responsibility and practice well. Blessings of the Triple Gem to all of you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Good. So with that, we can go for the discussion, but let me get some water first. Right. So who is going to talk?
I think I'm good from here today, Swami Master.
Sorry?
I'm good today.
Right, good.
Okay.
There's no questions from Brisbane.
Can't hear.
There's no questions from here.
Right, good. I'm very happy.
No question from me also. Thank you for the talk.
Wonderful. So what about Kusal? Do you have anything from that end?
Kusal's here. He's hiding. But he doesn't have anything.
Right.
Vina,
Okay. So
Vinavi's joined. Yeah.
yeah,
Everyone, Saranai Swaminathan, sir. I have no questions today, sir.
okay, good. So thank you very much for joining. So who is going to chant the stanzas today? Last time I think Brisbane did. So can someone else do it today?
We want to volunteer Hansika.
All right. So Hansika has been forced to do it.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'll take it up here. So.
May all
Yeah.
devas share this merit.
Yeah, go ahead.
May all devas share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all other beings share this merit which we all thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all the beings share this merit which we have thus accumulated for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness and prosperity. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the dispensation. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect the teaching. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, having shared this merit, long protect me and others. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Master, O Victor, greatly wise. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Dhamma, to be seen here and now, timeless. If by deed, speech, or thought, heedlessly I have done any wrong, forgive, O Sangha, practice well the incomparable. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives and may they be happy. Let this merit accrue to our departed relatives and may they be happy. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. May by the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana. By the grace of this merit that I have acquired, may I never follow the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain Nibbana.
Sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Peruan Saranai, everybody for joining. We'll meet again next Tuesday.
Saranai Swaminathan.
Peruan
Everyone, Saranai
Saranai.
Swaminathan, sir.
Peruan Saranai. Peruan Saranai. I'm disconnecting, yeah.